Yo, what's up, nerds? It's MTG Man, and I'm just like, I've been playing around with this like modern black burn deck, right? Because I've been thinking about getting in modern, expensive format, but I think it could be cool. So I have some cards in mind, but I've been like thinking about this. So I know Chancellor Ladros is really big in like any black burn because it's just 3 damage for free. However, it has to be an opening hand, so I'm actually kind of 50-50 on it. Um, I'm gonna before I continue, there's another thing I have to mention. What I want to do with this deck is this card called Grim Reminder. So you search your library for a non-land, reveal it. Each opponent who played a card this turn with the same name loses 6 life. So that's like a third of their life, right? This can be a big chunk, and you can return it to your hand for 2 black mana. So I think that can be like a really good burn source, right? Dauthi Voidwalker, getting back to it, it's in a lot of like modern decks. So on top of including burn cards, our sideboard and some of our main board are cards that can either help us with the burn strategy and or are just good cards in general that we can also hit with Grim Reminder. So like if a lot of decks are playing Dauthi is going to be useful in the deck no matter what, but we're going to get extra value because we'll be able to hit them for 6 damage. Grief. Grief is a good card as is. However, we're going to be able to hit them for extra value if we come up against a scam deck. Orcish Bowmasters kind of fits into the burn theme already because it can deal that one. Again, it's a pretty played card, so you're going to be getting extra value. Shieldred, I think, is a shoe-in for a black burn deck. This is a really good card. It puts them on a 10-turn clock, basically, on top of any other burn. Plus, a lot of decks are playing it. So, again, this is going to give you a lot of value. I think Shieldred is, like, in the top 9 creatures in the format. So, it's played a fair bit, right? On top of that, I feel like Sleeper Agent is a good choice. Again, a 10-turn clock. Um, However, I do have a small problem of your opponent can hit you with it for 3. So I feel like a lot of times it isn't worth it. Um, but that's just my thought. Artifact wise, Chalice of the Void because it can help slow down our opponents, but also we can name it if they play it because it's a pretty played card in Modern. Disruptor Flute is getting really big in the format, so same thing. We could burn them for 6. Pithing Needle. Most of these I think would be more sideboard cards because we can use them as hate pieces. We could use them as burn pieces, right? We wait until we see what our opponent's playing, and maybe even we keep Grim Reminder in the sideboard until game 2, pull them all out once we know what the opponent's playing, right? So Pithing Needle, Shuko because Nadu is becoming really big in Modern, I've been told. So keep one of those in the sideboard. The One Ring is good protection. It's good card draw. And if I understand it correctly, almost every deck in Modern wants to play the One Ring. So I would just be running it anyway. Um, Fatal Push is solid removal, but a lot of black decks play it, so it could be something nameable. Grim Reminder, this is what really inspired me to want to make a black burn deck. Um, I just think this card is really cool. I think this would be a really cool strategy. Soul Spike, $50. Since when has this card been $50? Like, it's nuts. But 4 damage could win the game, honestly. I feel like it's a shoe-in for the deck. Bump in the Night, 3 damage is pretty good. You're probably never going to be paying that flashback. It's just not possible. Collective Brutality is removal. It's burn. So I feel like it's just a solid choice. Insatiable Avarice, you could pay 3 mana to deal 3 damage and have them draw 3 cards. The other interesting thing is if you have Shieldred, drawing that 3 will also make them lose another 6 life from Shieldred. So it's a burn 9, which could help you finish off games, which I think makes it a fair choice. Soul Reap because it's both removal and damage. Sword Point Diplomacy is either a 3 mana draw 3 for you, or if they see a card they don't like, they take 3 damage. So either way, you're gaining a good amount of value. Thoughtseize, just because disruption is really important. Plus, if a lot of decks are playing it, you should be able to hit it with a Grim Reminder. We play Gonti's Machinations. It could be a 1 mana burn 3. This one I'm kind of 50-50 on. Hopeless Nightmare, I think, is a better choice. because it can scry 2 if we need it. And sure, it deals 1 less damage. However, making them discard a card I think is more important. I would trade 1 discard for 1 damage any day. Okiba Reckoner Raid is a deal 3 and then you get a 2/2. Um, you're not really like the 2/2's okay. It's just getting that like sequential burn in. Archon of Cruelty, moving into the sideboard, is something you would name. You'd probably pull this out for if you're playing a creativity deck. Then you name it whenever. Well, I guess they don't technically cast it through creativity, do they though? So maybe cut Archon of Cruelty. I mean, technically it burns the opponent, so it could be fine, but it's 50-50. You pull out Amulet for Amulet Titan decks, Shuko for Nadu decks, and Living End for Living End decks. Theoretically, like, I feel like there's a good base here. I'm kind of scared because I want to play mono black, right? I feel like red could be useful, but at that point, like, then I'm just playing another Rakdos deck, right? And I feel like I could get in cards of other colors to hit more decks, but I don't really want to compromise the deck just for Grim Reminder, so it feels kind of 50-50. But what I really want to know is, what cards do you suggest? What cards do you think would just absolutely be cut? Do you think it's even worth building around Grim Reminder? I wanted to build around it because I think it's a really cool card. I usually stick to EDH stuff, but in EDH, besides like Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, right? What are the chances that they're playing the same cards as you? And even then, 6 life isn't really that much in EDH, so it's meh. Other cards I did think about, Dash Hopes, I think could be actually really good for this deck. Either it's a counterspell, or they pay a quarter of their life, which can just be a really big burn value. But just like, I don't know the modern format as well as I feel like some of y'all might. So I just really need feedback is, what I'm asking for. Thank you, and bye-bye.